Nolan comes face to face with the lives he devastated, but forgiveness doesn't come easy. Emotions spiral in every direction, and just as redemption starts to take shape, calamity cuts it short. This episode brings us the confrontation we've all been waiting for. Nolan faces the many lives that he shattered on Earth, but no one reacts the same. Every single person that he hurt is at a different stage in their grief. And what you get is a volatile mix of anger, pain, and unresolved trauma. And just as those wounds are torn open again, with all that damage laid bare, catastrophe hits. They're forced into a direct conflict with the Viltrum Empire. Legends, this fight is vicious and passionate. Everyone has skin in the game. I know Invincible doesn't pull its punches as a show, but this episode is raw. So buckle up, legends. This is Invincible. Episode 5 is in 2 parts. Part 1, Emotional Reckoning, and Part 2, The War. Absolute brutality, but we'll get to that later. Let's start with Nolan's return to Earth. He comes face to face with the people he left behind, and although he has changed into a better person and he shows deep regret for his actions, that doesn't mean he gets forgiveness. Nolan does everything right. He lets them express their pain however they need to. He gives them space. He listens. He explains how deeply sorry he is, and he acknowledges the evil in what he's done. But none of that changes the fact that he did it. It doesn't erase the damage. It doesn't remove the anguish he caused. So all he can do is own it. And that's exactly what he does. He doesn't make excuses. He doesn't deflect. He just accepts his accountability. And honestly, legends, you can't ask more from him than that. It's such an honest apology. He doesn't beg for forgiveness. There's no manipulation. He simply lays everything bare and accepts whatever comes his way. But that just makes me respect Nolan even more. The point he is at in his journey right now is so compelling because this isn't redemption. This is something much harder. This is a man who has broken free from the ideology that raised him and shaped him, and is now choosing to carry the weight of what he's done. No excuses. He knows he's caused pain, so he carries it. And he allows the people that he's hurt, the people that he loves, the space to process that pain, however they need to. So let's look at how each of them dealt with that. Mark is the first person Nolan confronts, and you can immediately see how far he's come this season. He's more confident now, more assertive and more in control, especially around Nolan. This is not the same Mark we've been watching. Episode 4 was the internal shift, and here in episode 5 we see that play out. He doesn't shout, he doesn't lash out, he barely gives Nolan anything emotionally. He just tells him plainly that everything he did was wrong.
I'll spend the rest of my life trying to make it up to you.
How do I know you're telling the truth?
You'll have to trust me.
Great.
And Mark's response to that speaks volumes. He doesn't trust him. But ultimately, Mark doesn't have a choice. If he wants to save Earth, he needs to join the war. But that reluctance is important, because if there was a choice, he wouldn't have gone. Mark has grown. He's built a life of his own in the wake of his father's betrayal, and there just isn't a place for Nolan within it anymore. So this isn't forgiveness, it's necessity. Mark isn't moving toward Nolan, he's moving forward despite him. They just happen to be going in the same direction. Now let's look at Nolan facing Debbie, his wife, or as he called her back in season 1, his pet, which was absolutely brutal. First of all, legends, this part was palpable. You can feel the tension as he waited to knock on the door, like he'd been there for a while. And then as he turns to leave, she opens the door, and the silence is deafening. Eventually she lets him in, and this scene is the heart of what Nolan has to face this episode.
I am sorry for all of it, and I regret every moment. But I will spend the rest of my life trying to repair the damage I did.
He does everything right, but it still fails. He admits it was selfish to come. He doesn't ask for forgiveness. He owns everything he did, and he apologizes wholeheartedly and sincerely. This, right here, is the best version of Nolan that we've seen so far. Once again, he cannot do more than he is. But just because he feels it, that doesn't mean she does. It changes nothing for her. One line she says is worth focusing on here. When she's confronting him about the countless lives he took in the Chicago incident, she says he extinguished families. That language is very important. Extinguished. Mothers, fathers, children, gone. Irrevocably and eternally gone. And that's the crux of it for Debbie. This isn't just personal. She represents the human cost of what he did. Even if she could forgive him for what he did to her, she carries the weight of her own pain and the pain of everyone else. It was her husband that fooled all of humanity. And that guilt is eating her alive from the inside out. Eventually she confronts her own trauma, and when that finally boils to the surface, she hits him again and again until her hand breaks against him.
Debbie,
That scream is so much more than just physical pain. Her hand breaking is just a catalyst. That scream is her emotional pain as well. In the heat of all that agony, she gives him her truth.
I loved you. We had everything, and now it's all gone.
And that's it right there. That's the heart of where Debbie is right now. It's not anger. She's still grieving, living within the pain, and she has to work her way through it, which is made apparent when she asks him if she's still his pet. Let's face it, she was never gonna let that go. Eventually, she demands that he leaves, and he does, leaving her alone once again within their home, her hand broken just like her heart. Mark may be moving forward, but Debbie has a long way to go yet. She's not even close. Honourable mention to Oliver. When Debbie and Mark say he can't go to fight the war, he stands firm. He insists he's going to help and says he has just as much to lose as everyone else. He had one hell of a mic drop moment this episode.
Oliver,
I wasn't there for my other mom, so I'm gonna save this one, and you can't stop me.
He's really starting to stand up for himself now, and he refuses to be sidelined. I noticed him step up in episode 1, that's when he got my attention, but I'm really invested in his arc now. He was frustrated that Nolan didn't take the time to come and see him. This highlights that his grievance with Nolan is very different to everyone else's. There's no betrayal for Oliver. He wasn't even alive when Nolan betrayed humanity in Chicago, but he does feel neglected. What he wants is some of his father's time, and Nolan ignored him. So that builds a resentment within him, which is another bridge Nolan has to rebuild if he wants to connect with his family. Nolan has made his intentions clear. He's taken accountability and he's trying to make things right. But that doesn't guarantee redemption because everybody that he's hurt is in a very different place. Mark is moving forward, not forgiving him, but working with him. Debbie is still living in the pain, still grieving, nowhere near ready to let him back in. And Oliver just wants his father to see him. 3 completely different reactions to the same man, which highlights that Nolan's redemption isn't something that's guaranteed. It's something he has to live with, without knowing if it will ever even come. Okay, legends, now we get to the big payoff of the episode. Part 2, the war. A confrontation against a deadly Viltrumite assault. Their ship is destroyed, and the heroes have to battle 3 seasoned Viltrumite warriors. Conquest returns, and he and Mark have a score to settle. Lucan is back, and I'm sure he remembers what Nolan did to his innards way back in Season 2. Legends, this fight is as raw as it could possibly be. Every punch is driven by something personal, and the stakes couldn't be higher. It's do or die. It's kill or be killed. Now, I'm not going to sit here and give you a scene-by-scene breakdown of the fight. You can watch that yourself, and you absolutely should, because it's bloody awesome. What I want to focus on are a few moments of the fight that mean something. First, circling back to Oliver not being seen by Nolan. Well, take a look at this moment.
Think you're fast, huh? Get your hands off my son.
That right there is Nolan in peak father mode. He is having none of Conquest's nonsense, and he delivers the daddy of all haymakers to make his point heard. I can't begin to express my joy in that moment. Nolan is the GOAT, and J.K. Simmons brings him to life in a way that only an absolute veteran like he can.
Thanks for the good news. A fact I'm very proud of.
The fight unfolds, and it's an absolute superhero spectacle. Powerful punches, heavy collisions, and some impressive combos. You feel the danger that the enemy represent, but you also feel confident in the ability of the heroes as well. This battle wasn't spectacle for spectacle's sake. This was earned. These fights have been a long time coming, and so have these alliances. Watching all of the Graysons, father and sons, having a tear-up with 3 prominent Viltrumite warriors was an incredibly rewarding experience. Shout out to Mark, utterly mocking Conquest for what he said to him at the end of Season 3.
You gotta tell me all your deepest feelings again?
That was in confidence.
I can't be the only one that thought it was funny to see Mark make him look like a complete mug. So let's talk about Mark vs. Conquest Round 2. First of all, this was a terrifying shot.
What the hell was that?
Jesus, I have to admit, I thought Conquest was gonna murder Oliver at that point, but Mark just descended upon him like a meteor, and then they have their rematch. This has got to be the most barbaric fight of the show so far. It was bloody and it was savage. I was not prepared for this at 8 AM in the morning. Mark just got him by the throat and held on like a pit bull. Conquest tried everything to shake him off, but Mark just wouldn't relent. Conquest gave him combo after combo, but still Mark hung on. Conquest slammed him into mountains, but Mark wouldn't let go. This fight was ferocious. The way Conquest's face turns purple and his eyes go bloodshot as Mark held on made it all the more impactful. The fight was like watching one wild animal latched onto another's throat while they both fought to get the kill first. But nothing could have prepared me for the end. There is no way I can describe it here beat for beat. The video would get taken down if I do. But everyone who's seen it knows what I mean. And if you haven't, let's just say Conquest doesn't go down easy. He literally tries to disembowel Mark, and he does a bloody good job of it too. The sound is what makes that scene so impactful. It's so crisp and clear. You can hear each moment perfectly. If we thought Mark had suffered trauma before, episode 5 told us to hold its beer. Episode 5 clicked its knuckles, laughed, and didn't pull its punches. It's the most grotesque thing I've seen on this show so far. I'd say Mark has well and truly accepted that he may have to take life when the situation arises. But Christ, I was not expecting this level of barbarism. Mark has stepped up now, and I think we're going to see a much stronger version of him as the show unfolds. Alright legends, episode 5 gives us everything we've been waiting for. Nolan faces his family. The truth comes out and the damage is laid bare for all to see. And just as all of that starts to unfold, it gets ripped away. Because this episode doesn't let its characters heal. It doesn't even give them time to process. It just forces them forward in typical Invincible style. Nolan is trying to become something better without knowing if it will ever be enough. Mark is moving on, but he's changed now. He's grown. And Debbie is still living inside of her pain and nowhere near ready to move on. And Oliver just wants to be seen. And then the war hits, and the war is vicious. In true Invincible fashion, it doesn't hold back. And when the credits roll, it leaves you staring at the screen with your eyes and mouth wide open, utterly stunned by what has just transpired. Thanks for joining me in the stars today, legends. It's been great having you with me. Please take the time to subscribe. It really helps me grow the channel, and it helps me bring you more videos. I've been Hex. He's been an absolute savage, never unseeing that, and you've been Legends. See you next time.